Welcome back to Travel Again Insights, a weekly look at what matters most to our amazing industry. Ed, good to see you again.
Good to see you too, Mike.
Glad to see you have a good taste in blue shirts, as I do.
You got the memo. It's always good when you get the memo.
We should plan ahead on this.
We should plan ahead. Are you ready for the news this week, Mike? There is always a lot to cover.
Yep.
Okay. First up this week is the feds are fining unruly and maskless passengers, and violent incidents are increasing. So tell us about what this trend is.
Yeah, this has been pretty widely reported now, and hopefully, the reporting will also act a bit as a deterrent for folks. You would hope, but the fact is that it actually reinforces the fact that we need to keep the federal mandate in place, at least for the near term. That when you have these outbreaks, these incidents, the frontline staff need to have a federal policy behind them to enforce the mask mandate. And we need it. We still have enough passengers, enough of the population that's still not vaccinated. And when that number grows, hopefully to a tipping point kind of number, we start getting to a place, someday, hopefully we can, relax that restriction or requirement. But I think right now it still reinforces the fact that we need it. Unfortunately, you have passengers who don't follow the procedures. And so we need, it's important for the healthy infrastructure, honestly. And again, protecting the frontline staff and giving them the support they need.
Okay. Please wear your masks and leave our good people alone. Next up, an article about travel not recovering fully from COVID-19 for years. Bookings holding CEOs speaking on Yahoo Finance. Put this in context for us.
Yeah, so this is a really important one because, again, you saw that the CEO, he's been following basically the same message points we've been saying all along about the timing, the recovery, the scope of it. And even to the point, which I think is really great that he reinforced this, is that until international travel reopens, we won't see the kind of recovery we're looking for. And he's basically saying that this is the pivot point, and this is so important for both leisure and for business travel. We have a high dependency as an industry now on international travel and a global economy and global environment. And so with that percentage of travel falling into that category, again, until that reopens, domestic travel is not enough to drive a full recovery. So, that's why we're focused on what we are.
Okay. Thanks, Mike. Next article is a hard one. It says the airline industry says planes are pandemic proof, but public health experts disagree. We've covered this one a couple of times, but tell us how this article shapes up.
Well, unfortunately, this is one of those headlines that it's there to have you click because they want you to read it. The reality is that even after you read the article, the fact is that planes are safe, and that they basically say in the article that that basically there have been very few documented cases of transmission on an airplane, that the airlines have done everything possible and it is safe, but unfortunately the headline says otherwise. And I know that's the realities of media today. You're trying to get clicks and you're trying to get attention, but it's just disappointing because the fact is planes are safe. We know they're safe. Now, is there a level of caution that you need to have if you're not vaccinated? Sure, of course. And it matches the level of caution you would have in any indoor environment that you have. But the planes, on airplanes, airlines have gone over and above with air filtration, with cleaning, with process, with everything. Again, do you have heightened risk depending on how boarding is accomplished and everything else? Sure, you do. And of course, that's why, airlines continue to look for ways to have a better and better process, anything that can help alleviate any possibility of transmission. But, you can do as an individual traveler, get vaccinated. It's pretty simple. When you get into the vaccinated zone, you still wear a mask on an airplane to protect yourself and others, sure, just as a precaution mainly for others. But the reality is that it is safe. And it's just, again, frustrating because people read headlines like that and it adds to the effect on traveler confidence. But the reality is it's safe.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Next article up is from the New York Times, The Dream of International Travel, Reality, Chaos, and Confusion. What's going on with international travel, Mike?
Yeah, so I think that this is touching on the broader issue of traveling. It's not just about the fact that when you're in the travel system itself, whether you're on an airplane or in a hotel or you're in a controlled environment, that represents a part of the travel experience. But of course, it's what you do when you're there. And I think really what they're talking about here is that there's still a lot of, let's say, confusion and I think mixed emotions about traveling to places where maybe hopefully you're vaccinated. Great. You're going into an environment where, depending on the destination, the vaccination levels may not be in the same places they are based on your origin country. And the concern is and kind of the issue is, are markets ready? Are destinations ready? Is the infrastructure beyond just the travel infrastructure even ready? And I think you have to take that into account. And I think we'll have that, as we go forward. It's going to be, that this is, again, another element of travel period, is that everybody talks about traveling as soon as you leave the house until you come home is part of the travel experience, right? Or part of the trip. But the reality is the controllable parts are only in segments throughout, right? And in this case, again, yes, and especially internationally, there still is a lot of confusion. We don't have a standard for digital health verification. We don't have all the things in place that we need as an industry. There's things we're fighting for. We'll get there, because we'll have to. But the reality is it can't come fast enough.
Okay, thanks, Mike. I know we sure are working hard to try to make some breakthroughs in those areas.
Yeah.
Last article for the day is airline CEOs are calling for a summit to speed the relaunch of UK-US travel. We've been talking about getting travel back for this particular corridor for a long time. So tell us what these CEOs are up to.
Yeah, so this is great. Again, one of our roundtable participants, A4A, doing a terrific job leading the charge on this and getting very documented support for the opening of the US-UK corridor. And we know that international travel is critical to the recovery. We know that the best place, probably the best chance we have beyond some of the work that's been done between US and Italy, the best, probably most critical lane to reopen, or corridor to reopen, is the US-UK corridor. And so, focusing on this, getting that open is a real pivot point, real milestone for, trying to move, everything open again. So, we're trying to get both countries focused on it. Now, to the UK's credit, they've been putting specific dates out to reopen. And we hopefully, going to stay on track for those, reopen from a travel perspective and just overall. But what I like about the approach they've taken is that they've done it with, specific dates. And this is what we've been asking for here in the US all along. It's like, how do we, set expectations, put dates out there. If conditions change or they don't improve to the levels you need, then great. Then you change the date. But it gives everyone something to work towards, and for us as an industry to plan around. If we knew that there was a target date for the US-UK reopening of X, and we could all be rallying around that with information, with procedure, with process, with everything that's possible, with looking for ways to do tests of different requirements in between, it would really help. But we don't do that, and so we have these kind of we just have open-ended questions about what's next and when. And this is part of the roadmap discussion we've been having for months and months about the fact that we don't need to commit to dates. They're not, set in stone, but we need a framework and we need a process to get there, because there's a lot that goes behind reopening, a major corridor like this. But I think we're getting to the point where we're ready, and we're ready as we're going to be, in terms of vaccination levels, in terms of process and procedure. And again, hats off to our airlines, our hotels, car rental industry, et cetera, and on ground, every element, the amount of work and effort that's going into reopening, and getting and being ready is tremendous, people, resource, money. And I think we're getting there. And again, so hopefully we're at that point. We're at a good inflection point. But again, I think it's great when we can rally industry leaders, brand leaders, to be out there also touting those messages. So we'll see. But I'm hopeful that this will result in some action.
Okay. Thanks, Mike. That is the news for this week. Appreciate you putting all that into perspective, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
Yeah, and also, wait, one more thing. Be on the lookout for something from Travel Again. We've got a great new guide playing off of the CDC recommendations. We've got some new information coming out in the next day or so that will really be helpful for everybody. So stay tuned. More to come from Travel Again.
Always exciting. Thank you, Mike. We'll see you all next week.
See you next week.